Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to get started. I'm sure I'll have some of us join me. And as usual, I want to kind of make sure that we are still on track as far as knowing what's going to be due and what's coming up and that type of thing. I also want to mention something to you. You can make a transcript of these lectures. I just got through trying it. And so I'm going to take a shot at it here. So I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to go over to YouTube. And in YouTube, I'm going to do a search for MGMT 3603. And of course, there'll be a spate of recordings of there. Here's a pre-recorded class from the 20th of September last year. Okay. And that screencast will start up. All right. Now I want to show you something. Okay, I've got the sound off on it, so I can't hear it. There it is. So what you want to do over here is, and I'm going to mute that sound for a second. If you come over here, all right, you see the three little dots. Click those, and it will tell you open transcript. All right, and you will see a transcript sentence by sentence, basically, essentially, for the whole thing. So you now have, and I think I told you about that before, but you have a full transcript. And it's probably not a bad idea when you view this, when you view one of these. I'm going to go ahead and close this off, to go ahead and listen. I'm just going to shut that off. It's probably not a bad idea to as you listen, to keep the transcript, excuse me, or to go ahead if you want to, and copy and paste it into a Word document or something like that. So and of course you can always just review the the screencast. And if you have a question, you can always contact me. And that's, as I've coached you before, to say, if you have a question, please make sure, all right, that you are, that you've, that you have, that you've got, you've told me the time, the day and the minute, the time and the minute wherever it's at. Now, I want to check something here in Zoom, so I'm going to go over to Zoom for just a second, into the web conferencing, and look at my my account, my meetings, and sure enough, it's today, and this meeting is going on at 11:02. So, as you know, Wednesday is a virtual day. Now, I want to point something out to everybody as well. So I'm gonna close this off. Go back into the course for a second, and let's scroll up to. And this is an announcement I sent to everybody, but I want to make sure that I mention it here in class. Here's an update to my schedule. I've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow that morphed into 3 different doctor's appointments. And I have 2 classes on Thursday. I have Business 1123, which is Business Problem Analysis, Section B. And then I have Data Admin. Some of you may be enrolled in one or the other. I never try to keep track of that, so I send everybody an email and an announcement. But here's a key part of this. Friday, I will be in my office in Shawnee from 11:30 from 11:30 to 4:30, maybe 5. Okay, it just depends. But what that means, I don't usually have office hours because I have work I'm doing over here, uh, and and so I want to let you know that in the event that you want to come by the office and visit with me about something, you can always ask me questions via email. Okay, but again, that's up to you. Okay, so I had the invitation there. I want to go back. I'll just let you see kind of what I see when I'm looking at Zoom, because you may be interested in this, you may not. I think that my courses, students should have no complaints with me. You've got about everything I could possibly do for you to help you master the material and give you a chance to show that. And of course, you'll see I've got, for today at 11 a.m. And I always send the invitation out. So I'm going to close that off. All right. And we're still recording. And so I'm going to launch into the material. Now, my hunch is I have many of you. My hunch is I'll have some of you join, and that's okay. Not a big deal. So I want to go back now and talk about where we are in the course. All right. I want to say this also. My apologies about Monday that I had to do a screencast. I really had no choice. I was in a meeting. I was in that meeting till almost 11:30. So there was no way I was going to be able to run in and get anything done. Okay. So let's look at where we are. This is week 10. Pardon me. This is week 6. This is module 11 or week 11, whatever you want to call it. And these are the 3 class days: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now, we covered Hammond's port on Monday, and I showed you the key. All right. And this is where we utilized queuing theory, and we put arrival times in using random numbers. I'm going to go back to the book. All right. Now, this shows us using a 2 ATM system. This is Hammond's Port Savings Bank. And here's the text walks us through this. And we talked about this also, the solution, as they walk through using an ATM. This is a queuing theory problem, okay? A waiting line problem. And notice we have enter arrival times, and they assume that people arrive, okay, in terms of a normal distribution or a uniform distribution, which means if you look down here at the service times, okay, you have, well, first of all, here in the uniform distribution section, you have the largest and the smallest value. And this, I think it's minutes, it's 5 minutes versus, of course, the smallest time is 0. Then you come to the distribution or the normal distribution of the service times, and you'll see that we have a mean or average service time of 2 minutes, and we have a standard deviation of 0.5. In other words, let's half a minute. So if you think about this in terms of the normal curve, and if you've had your statistics, which you should have, I hope, you'll know that the mean and then the one standard deviation above the mean is 34% of all responses or occurrences if the data are distributed normally. Okay? Now, we know conversely, if you take the mean and you go to the left one standard deviation, then you'd be talking about 2 minus 0.05, which means a minute and a half. So from between 1.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes, 68% of their customers arrive. Okay, and so we just simply, we know that if the data are normally distributed. So we're assuming that, and they're giving us the Excel worksheet. And I think because the authors knew quite well that Excel is much better equipped than that nasty little lingo thing they've got up there. Again, you can thank me for not making you get the package that goes with this, because you get to spend $150 to learn lingo and use that, and I just think it's useless. I hate it. It's expensive and I won't do it. Okay, let's look at this now and take a look at this chart, because I want to reinforce some of the things that we covered, okay? And you'll notice here we have an inter-arrival time of 1.4. First customer's there. Their arrival time is 1.4. Why? Well, because they didn't start service time until 1.4 minutes. So they were there and had waited 1 minute and 24 seconds, or 1.4 minutes. Or they had a service start time at that point, excuse me. They didn't have to wait, so they were served immediately. I apologize, it's customer number one. And then the completion time is the sum of the service time, okay, plus the service start time. So they've been in the system 1 minute and 24 seconds, or 1.4 minutes. They got served immediately. It took 2.3 minutes to serve them. So they completed their arrival and their service at 3.7 minutes. And the time they were in the system, meaning the completion time minus the arrival time, is 2.3. And you can see this iteration just works its way down as we go along. Okay, now I want to, and as we go over, now we simulated 1,000 arrivals. Now I've mentioned to you that probably the two most powerful tools in Excel is the pivot table, which enables us, if you've had BISS 1123 with me, or you've had data admin, it enables us to take that data, that data cube, where we had dimensions and then we had measures and all that, and shift it around and play with it and see how it looks. The pivot table is designed to do that. The other, which I think is the most powerful tool, is the ability to do random, is the ability to do randomization. Okay, and there are two tools in Excel. One is called Rand Between, which lets me take a ceiling, okay, and pardon me, a floor, all right, and then choose a ceiling, and then generate random numbers within that interval. Okay, that's very, very powerful. Think about it for a moment as we look up here. Now I'm taking a little extra time with this, with Hammond's Port 1, a little extra time, a little extra time on queuing theory, for a very simple reason. Every business encounters this, whether you're talking about the queuing theory of of serving people in a restaurant versus queuing theory in a supply chain, or the transmissions of documents and papers from one workstation to the other, or sales processes or whatever, okay? This is absolutely essential for you to see it and to understand it. Why is it? Well, let me pop back over here for a minute into our course. And I have some resources for you, okay? And it show you the basic waiting line models. But down here, this is down for next week. I have some info. I have, okay, I believe I had posted some links for you that talk about, uh, how long, how long will customers wait and before they won't come back. And I want to find that for you. I've got the, okay, I've got the PDC. And if I didn't put it over here, it's probably going to be up in the welcome module. So let me go up here for just a minute, because these are really critical resources. So let me go to the getting started and greeting your colleagues. Maybe I've got a lift over here. But I wanted to let you see this. Well, I know I had it over here, so let me, here we go. This is from module 10. This is last week, and I apologize. About flummoxing around here. Here we have why we won't wait. Customers' satisfaction and profits by decreasing waiting time. I'm going to go that resource because I think it's worth us talking about and taking a look at, and we'll go back out there. And these talk about a well-planned course, and what they're doing here, what these folks do, they work with companies in terms of designing their store layout, their retail layout, okay? And they use queue management technology, crowd control and queuing, fixtures, merchandising, premium rate. As you can see, these folks understand quite well that people don't want to wait. And part of this is they deal with some of these industry solutions, okay, in terms of queuing. And you can see they've got some great resources there. And so we see why people simply won't wait, and they just won't. It's a great resource over there. I believe I have another one here. How long will customers wait for service? We're going to go here and take a look. And this is a nice paper in terms of talking about. This is a person who gives the example of waiting at the DMV, and they give us some good information about queuing lines and how they can really, really, really hurt your business. So this is important stuff for you to see, all right? Now, we'll go back here. And so you've been given some research, and let me say this. You can go out on the web, and I would challenge you to do that, to go out on the web and look up sources on queuing theory. It's absolutely essential that you understand that. There are two things today that drive competitive advantage. And number one is analytics. How well you understand your operation, how well you understand your customers' needs and wants, and how well you understand your environment, including your competitive environment. If you don't have a grade of A or A plus in all three of them, you're not going to be as successful as you need to be, and eventually somebody will gobble you up, or you'll just kind of your company will just it will be kind of stuck in a limbo. And because of the internet, because of global competition, Firms that are weak they'll eventually get to slot. They'll eventually get eaten alive. And I know that seems harsh, and you say, well, that seems unrealistic. Well, let me tell you something. If you go next time and go to a car dealer and ask them to give you data, or go online and look for the data to find out how many places the parts for your so-called American-made car are made, and you'll be shocked. You'll go, wow, I didn't know part of it was made here, because the government makes us publish especially what percentage of the labor of that vehicle was done in that particular country. So queuing theory is so vital to your understanding, and I can't be sure you get it in the production course. So you've got to get it here, which is why I'm really spending some time on this today. Now, I want to say one other thing, and it's this: as I sit here, and I don't have anybody who has joined me today, all right, it does make me wonder. Now, I have provided you this convenience so that if you want to, you can watch this later. I've also told you, hey, here's the way to get a transcript of this. So, while I'd love to have 5, 10, or 15, or 20 or more of you every single time, I do understand that I've said to you, I've built, and I've made a commitment to you. I will present the material the best I know how. I'll record it and have it there available for you. And I don't know that you're going to have a professor at this school, at least, who provides you so much convenience and value for the money that you pay. There's not a one of you who could say, gee, he didn't show me how to do it, because I do. You can see me do it. You can read a transcript. It's there for you. So all that. Now, so, okay, Dr. Harmon, where are you leading to? Here's where I'm leading to. When I post these types of additional resources, okay, you'll notice that I will usually mention them. It's fairly rare that I'll go into them, open it up, and talk about it. These aren't PowerPoints that I use for lectures. These are resources for you. You say, for me? Yes, for you. I don't give quizzes on these resources. I don't, pardon me, I keep saying, it's driving me crazy. I don't give you a pop quiz. I don't go in and then make you go back and look at them. Here's why. No one in any class I take ever would have any right whatsoever on a survey to say, well, I wasn't challenged intellectually. Yes, you are. These things challenge you intellectually. Here's what I'm saying. These are best practices out of the industry. This is what's going on out there. And if you're serious about the money and time you spend to get your degree, if you want to be a top world-class business student coming out of our school, this is one of the ways you get there. You say, okay, this is a way for me to learn some more about queuing theory and go beyond the textbook, go beyond what Dr. Harmon says in the lecture, go beyond these cases. Because I can guarantee you this is absolutely essential. So I provide you these resources. It's up to you to use the opportunity. As I've said to you before, and many times, my courses are deceptively hard. They appear very easy until you realize you've got to do the work, and until you realize you have to invest the time. And I base it on purely a competency basis. If you pass you do well on the exams, we're good to go. That's wonderful. If you turn in the cases, That's wonderful. And I tell you, okay, and I always give you the model, and then I say, okay, manipulate some of these variables, and let's see what we get, so that you can see the dynamics here of what's happening and how useful these tools are. I can't emphasize that enough to you, especially in management science. If you were to say, Dr. Harmon, what is the favorite course you teach? I love teaching business problem analysis because it gives me a chance to get folks' attention about how challenging it is to be successful in business. I love the data admin course because databases are really coming into their own. As you know, I'm investing a lot of my time as a faculty member into learning about geospatial intelligence, location advantage, the mapping tools that are out there that we can use to analyze a competitive environment, or where we might want to put a store, or what are the people like who live in the area where I placed my store. If you took 1123 with me, you remember we had a spatial analysis exercise. And right now I'm taking a course in cartography. I'm taking a course, several courses on geospatial intelligence, and then training courses that are offered by Esri. And of course, you've heard me talk about Esri Tapestry. And those are all database driven. And what they do is they take a map, a base map, and then they layer. And then you drill down, just like using in tables. But I'd have to say also, maybe my greatest love among these courses I teach is management science. And I teach management science because it does two things for you. First of all, it talks about methodology. Now, you're going to hear people who don't understand the difference of method and methodology. Let me explain that to you. Methodology is your philosophy. How do I go about studying something? What's my overall approach? Okay. What's my overall approach? Then method is a particular way I achieve that goal. If you take, you can take businesses, you can take sports. There's a reason that Google buys every kind of, basically buys out every little startup company they see in Silicon Valley that looks like what they call a unicorn. A unicorn meaning a company that has such a unique idea that they're going to be a game changer. Well, why would Google go in and offer the owners of that firm a bucket of money? Simple. They want the methodology. And it's easier and cheaper for them to let somebody develop it and then they buy it than to invest their time in trying to develop it themselves. So Google has a methodology, and the methodology is this. There are a bunch of smart people out there, and we want to make sure that we have them because they believe that having the smartest people is what gives them competitive advantage. And it's going to be the same way with just about any firm. I've done some research over the years analyzing the SEC filing for firms that are about to go public. In other words, they're about to do an IPO. And I did a text analysis of those firms. And there are some sections where they talk about why they have a competitive advantage, why they think investors will want to invest in them. And I looked at it from the standpoint of knowledge management, information technology, the use of that. And as you know, you'll hear me say my mantra over and over and over again. The information technology is decision centric. It's designed to bring you a point where you can make a decision. I think you get my drift. So I encourage you, go take a look at these additional resources. I don't give you a quiz on them or an exam on them. There's just simply no way I'm going to do that. I simulate a lot of what will happen when you go out to work. You'll be given a problem or a project, and you'll find somebody to help you with this, or maybe you'll be assigned to do a project. I don't know. So I provide some of those, I sneak in some of those social learning kinds of things, often without you even knowing it. But nonetheless, I think you get the drift. Now, again, we'll come down here, and I want to go back to the book. And let me tell you what I love. This platform is called Vital Source, and it allows me to take a textbook and put it online. This is, to me, just so much more convenient. And I can guarantee you, if you were taking if I was taking a class with me, and I had my major textbook was online, I guarantee you, I'd bought that. I'd have that puppy in Kindle in a heartbeat. So when I have to do exams, I can put in key terms and search through them. I can see the examples. And of course, here we are. And this is Hammond's Port 1. And again, we're dealing with one ATM. And we could see then, after we've done these iterations, and don't remember, don't be fooled. They have just hidden cells 21 through 1010. And then we have the summary statistics. Notice that we have the number waiting. We have the raw data. Then we have the probability that someone will be waiting. And then we calculate the average waiting time. We look at the maximum waiting time. Then we look at how much the ATM is actually utilized. We have the number who waited less than a minute, and we have the probability of waiting less than a minute. So I'm going to go back over here for a moment so we can see this again, because I feel like that Hammond's Port is if you understand queuing theory and you get it, you're going to be very attuned to customer service moments, and you're going to be very attuned to speed. Okay, speed. So it's very important. Well, I'm going to download Hammond's Port 1. And we'll take another look at it. And then we'll do some of the housekeeping kinds of things. Now, let me get up here for a moment and enable the editing. Now, what I'd ask you to do was two things. First of all, was to use GoalSeek to obtain a probability of waiting to 0.55 by changing the largest value for inter-arrival times. So you say, all right, probability of waiting time. Well, here we are. I'm going to click on that. You can see the formula. And it's going to be E1018. And E1018 is the number of people waiting, divided by 900. Okay? And you say, well, where's the 9? And why did we divide it by 900? Well, we had, and we utilized that number of customers. And remember, these were generated randomly. So let's go back over to the book for a moment and take a look at that. And they walk us through each of those. Now, the authors showed us this for 900 customers. Here's the histogram. So we were interested in 900 customers. All right. Now, what we could do, and we'll just do this for a second, is they're going to change this from 900 to 1,000. Because I had 1,000 customers. Now let's see what happens. As you can see, that this changes. The number waiting, the probability of waiting, and we'll go back here for a moment and we'll say, okay, at 900, and here we are. So we have the number who are waiting out of 1,000. And then we have the probability of waiting, which is just simply the number waiting versus the number who ended up waiting versus the total number. And they did it just for 900 customers. And we go back into the book, we'll see. As they tell us here, ultimately we're going to need to do summary statistics for 1,000 customers. But they go ahead and they use 900 and they talk about what they call a steady state period. So we're doing the simulation. As they mentioned right here, triggers of 100 as the startup period. So here's something that they can do, and this again is one of those beautiful things. Is here, let's notice that we're looking at the probability of waiting divided by 100. But as they mention over here in the book, all right, we say the first 100 customers represent a startup period. And so we not only did the simulation, we said, okay, I'm going to kind of treat this like, say, a capital budget. But instead of cash flows, it's time. And each person is a point in my capital budget. They're in my time. They're literally in a timeline. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say the first 100 is, so I'm going to do 900. Because I've had enough, I'm going to say with 100 times, I have enough iterations. All right. So we get that data. Now, if we go back and take a look here, and we come down, and you'll notice each time we click around in here, things change. The arrival times, the start times, the probability waiting. Okay, and it says, and here we're using the number waiting. We use the COUNTIF function, looking at cells E116 to E1015, and the number that are greater than 0. And I'm going to click on this here for just a minute. Here we're using the COUNTIF function. The range is E116. And the range is E116 to E1015. And the criterion is greater than 0. And we find that we have 490 of them. Now, column E, dimension E, is waiting time. So we started at number 116, and we went from 116 to 115. Why did we do that? Because we wanted to take the 100 customers and treat them as a startup period. Now, here's the arrival time, and I want to take this and I'm going to copy this formula. Let's see, and I'm going to pop it out here so we can see it. Here's what's going on. We're saying B4, and that's B4. All right, and we'll go up to B4. And we got we're looking there at, and we've got all the way there to B16. So let's scroll up to B4. Plus some random number. And we're going to take that times B4 minus B5. And remember now, okay, that we had these figures above here where we had the largest, all right, and the smallest numbers. And there we are, B4, the smallest value. And I'll just show you here real quickly. Times B4 plus some random number. So we start with the smallest value, and then we add a random number. And then we take that sum times B5, which is the largest value, minus B4. This is very similar to what we did when we worked with the Get Smart Data Smart class, the Data Smart the Data Smart cases, in which we added a 1 so that we could we normalize, we standardize the data by adding 1, because the probability levels were going to be so infinitesimally small, we really couldn't handle the digits that small. So we gave everybody a constant. And we take that times the difference between the largest value and the smallest value. All right, so here we are. And so I ask you to use the goal seek, and to get the probability of weighting to 0.55 by changing the largest value for inter-arrival times. Let's scroll down here, and the probability of weighting is 0.5789. So I can click over here again on data. I'll go to what if analysis, and I'm going to click goal seek. And we're going to change the largest value for inter-arrival times. I want to set the probability of weighting, so I'm going to come down here, and that'll be E1019. And I want to set that value to, I think it was 0.50, by changing the cell and probability weighting to 0.55. That should be 0.55, not 0.50. By changing the largest value for inter-arrival times. There we go. And then we'll do the goal seek. And there we got that value, largest value, and our target value and our current value. So there we go. Now, as we see these, and notice the waiting time, it's D16, the service start time, okay? The waiting time is it's D16, which is the service start time, minus C16, which is the arrival time. So you could see we could do some fantastic stuff. And here's the time in the system. Now, just so that we get it, the authors, they show us the histogram for waiting time in minutes. And the authors, just to make sure that we get it, come over to table 12.1 and they take a small sample. They take 10. But, well, I'll go back here, because as we scroll down here, you'll see that they show us the simulation. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, they walk us through the customer service moment narrative. So what in the world are you talking about? Here we are. If you take a look at page 561, what you're going to see is what we call a customer service narrative, okay? And this tells you step by step by step what happens. Now, this narrative, again, is based upon, as you recall, the first, this flow chart. This has all been planned out. You'll notice that when we went to that one resource earlier here today, and we took a look at that firm that will walk you through, here's how to lay out your firm, here's how to lay out your business so you can move people through more efficiently and quicker. Nobody likes to wait on their food. Nobody likes to wait for stuff that they buy. If it's supposed to be there that next day, they want it there. And so firms like that understand cues. And so the authors give us this, and they show us the flow chart. We've seen the mathematical model already, and then they even give us the customer service moment narrative. You say, what do you mean by customer service moment? Customer service moment means the point at which I'm interacting with the customer in one of three ways. One, they enter my system. They enter the queue. Two, what happens to them during the service moment? Now you say, okay, wait a minute. If they show up, that has nothing to do with customer service. Oh, but does it? Yeah. And people that are astute and good business people understand this. If you go to a nice restaurant and it's crowded, and there's, first of all, they'll tell you basically, here's the estimated waiting time. Here's something to put in your pocket or keep with you. It'll buzz you when you're ready. So they don't have to stand around and scream your last name. And in addition, then they'll say, oh, but now we have a nice bar, or we have a cocktail lounge. So if you'd like to wait over there, you're happy to. Why? Well, because they're evil people and they want to make people sin and drink. No, because they're managing the waiting time. They're giving you a customer service moment. And it's just genius. I first kind of got a glimmer of this. I know are there any of you that still go to the mall? If you do, don't let me know. If you're not shopping online, you're missing a lot. But it used to be if you go to a shopping mall and the company, it wasn't Cracker Barrel. It was, who was it? They made Pepperidge Farms. And so they'd have a little, kiosk where as you're walking down the mall, you could buy the stuff. But they would have a sample area. And so you have some samples. they were managing your customer input. So why, and so if you if you were going to buy something, you'd get a sample. Now it was also pretty smart marketing before you get people to try their product. Okay, so it's there's just so many ways this works. It's just this is important stuff for you. So I'm taking time to go over it. So they walk you through these narratives, and they show you the simulation, and that's for one ATM. And remember, we use the random function. Now, I'm going to click here in this cell, and I'm just going to put equal rand. And you'll see there's the rand and the rand between. And I'm going to click on the explain. This returns a random number greater than or equal to 0 and less than 1, evenly distributed. It changes on recalculations. That's called, it's volatile. Now you can go into the settings of Excel and make it static, but then you can't get the kind of dynamics that you want with a random number. And that's why they say the formula result is volatile. And one of the nice things about Excel, and my students in BISS 1123 are learning this, is if you're smart, you'll click on this, and you'll get that result where they will tell you about the function. I think here it is, the Excel help. And they even give you an article and an example. Now that's a little bit different from one you've known, and here's the rand between. Okay, and it's the rand between, and let's click on and it says bottom, okay, is the smallest integer, and then top is the largest integer. Okay, now this rand between is intended to deal with integers, whole numbers. Rand is intended to deal with any number between 0 and 1. So they both have their purposes. Okay, I'm so tired of myself saying okay. Well, now I'd also ask, okay, what use the goal seek to obtain a waiting time, offer to obtain a maximum waiting time of 9.5 minutes by changing the mean service time. And I ask you to do that as well. So this is a mighty useful case, and I'm hoping that you're really paying attention to this, because this is important stuff. Now I'm going to say this, I'm not going to save it, all right? And we're back over here to the book. And as I said before, the book gives us that distribution. Okay, and by the way, this is what I know as a Pareto histogram, or where we set the largest first and go from there. Then here are simulation results with 2 ATMs. Let's go back into Canvas. All right, and I'm going to move on from the key. And hang on a minute, I got somebody here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you too. Thank you. Speaking of queuing theory, my friends, my birthday gift, my wife bought me, just arrived. I couldn't have made this any more dramatic. They delivered it on the hour and the day when they said it would come. Okay, now, it hates me when I say okay. Now I'm going to do something here for a moment. I'm going to click this up here. And I'm going to start the video real quickly so you can see. You see, here I am in my home office. I'm going to adjust this down a little bit. Even the dog's in the act. Here it is, delivered to me by this wonderful department store at the time I wanted it. I couldn't have scripted this any better. What can I say? There are many of you, I believe, as I've interacted with you and watched you, who I think really would be fantastic if you worked in logistics. Production's kind of hard for the simple reason that production management has really become the purview of folks who are engineers. Logistics is one of those places where with a BA from OBU in business, particularly with all the tech courses we give you, that you could find logistics and get into work with logistics and have a great career. They're desperate for people. Why? Because the global economy is growing. Why? Because supply chain is everything. And could I have scripted it any better? I couldn't have scripted it any better. And what I'll do, and this came from FedEx, right? And my package, and I'll have to call them. My wife worked for FedEx for a long time, and it gave her a branding on her resume that everywhere we've ever been, people are seeking her. They call her all the time. And let me say this, FedEx and UPS, both of those are fantastic, fantastic companies. I couldn't have scripted this any better. And it was a real guy. He rang the doorbell and he had my package. So my birthday gift is here. Okay. What can I say? So queuing is everything. Now, for this week, I also had a link to Hammond's Port 1, a little video that I wanted you to take a look at. And then Hammond's Port number 2 is due on the 20th. Now, I'm going to pop back over here to the bookshelf, and I'll give you a little bit of prep. Here in this, Hammond's Port 2 is when they decide to get 2 ATMs. Okay? And so they go through, they have the Excel solution, the worksheets, they have the same approach. Now I'm going to go back here. I'm just so thrilled. Let me talk about this. That was just, what a rush. That's just so cool. When I'm talking about the value of logistics and my package arrives on time, I couldn't have timed it better, could I? And it's my birthday. It was a birthday gift from my wife. What a fantastic thing. Love those people. They get stuff. You see how happy I am? My birthday gift is here. And you know, folks that love Jesus like to make other people happy. So I'm going to give you a sermon. These folks, okay, have enhanced the quality of my life. So I really encourage you, go out there and look for logistics firms. Hey, they may even have you sit in a truck for a while delivering stuff. It might be one of the best experiences you've ever had in your life. Okay? I'm so tired of saying, okay, I'm going to find myself 50 cents. Anyway, here's the key, the screenshot for Hammond's Port 1. And then Hammond's Port 2 is due on the 20th. And he said, where am I going to get the day for that? I always get those questions. So here's where we'll go over to we're going to go to the files. You say, you are so pumped about teaching this, and you're also going over 50 minutes. Hey, sue me. I'm excited about logistics and management science, especially things like logistics, because it's the final link to the customer, the final link. And when it comes, when it's supposed to be, and it's packaged, bingo, mission accomplished. And you want to be a servant and you want to make an impression, that's a great way. And it's not only these big companies, they're always looking for little companies to help them out. Now, I'm going to share one other thing about queuing theory with you. Okay, and this also involves networks. I'm going through the annual ritual of, I have a guy that mows my lawn. He was supposed to come and scalp the lawn and then mow it. Scalping is you get rid of all the debris. I used to do my lawn the whole bit. I just don't have the time, so I pay a guy to do it. And what can I say? He bought the business from our former lawn person, who was incredible. When he said he'd be there, he was there. When he said, I'll scalp your lawn so you get rid of the excess debris, because the way I'm like most people, I have my lawn mulched. And he mulches because he doesn't want to have bags and bags. He says, all right, I'll go through the 1 year time of year and I'll scalp your lawn. Well, the new guy isn't doing so hot. So I may have to look for somebody else. And I cannot tell you how many times that you run into these kinds of issues. Well, we'll go over here and we're going to find the MS files. Couldn't have scripted that any better. I'm just thrilled that happened. It rocked my world. Now, and I think we're operating in chapter either 11 or 12. Let's open that up. We'll see. Nope. Got to go back up because we've done the single arbitrary. So we're in chapter 12. Yep, here we are. Now, here's Hammond's port 2. And Hammond's port 2 assumes that we have 2 ATMs. And we walk ourselves through that process and notice the time available, ATM 1, ATM 2, the same approach to calculate the number, waiting, etc. So the beauty is we add on a second ATM. Now I'm going to close this file off. I won't make any changes. And I'm going to go back out into the modules area. And we're going to look up here. Here's the bookshelf. Now you say, Dart Harmon, you have a strange obsession with queuing theory and logistics and networks. Yes, I do. And let me tell you something. One of these days, you may remember these words. It's important. As I was driving home yesterday, I was headed back home, and I was there on I-240, and out there on, I believe it's Sooner Road, there's the Oklahoma Heart Hospital. And I love my drive. I love to drive home in the afternoons, or the afternoons, because I see all the AWACS and all the jet fighters that flow into Tinker. And I mean, the jet flyers, to give us all a show, they'll come blowing in at about 1,000 feet or maybe under as they're coming to their approach. And there are days I want to just stop my car and go outside the side road and watch those guys blowing out. The AWACS are amazing, but I'm embellishing. Here's the deal. I'm driving there to the heart hospital, and I look up and I see a helicopter. And I know what's going on. The helicopter is on its way to take somebody who's been in a critical accident, or someone for whom sending them in an ambulance is not going to be fast enough to save their life. That is logistics to serving a human, serving us in a way that we could never even imagine. In the Vietnamese War, for example, the air cavalry, the use of helicopters, and I had a good friend who was one of the people. He served in Vietnam. He did 3 tours in Vietnam. He was a helicopter pilot, and he did medevac. That is, they have a bunch of our troops out fighting the Viet Cong and in the jungle, and he'd pick them up and he'd fly them back either to either to a triage area where they were treating them, or if it was serious, he headed out to sea and headed to and landed on an aircraft carrier. So the aircraft carrier then would have a larger helicopter, Hueys, and the really large ones to ship somebody to Tokyo or Guam or wherever they had the closest medical, or if they had a medical ship out in the Gulf of Tonkin, they'd take care of them. And so, if you now, I can say this: my father died on his way to a meeting. He died with his boot case, with his briefcase, and so to me, he was like a gunfighter. He died with his boots on and his guns. He dropped dead immediately. There was no way. But I've known people for whom that had the speed with which they were gotten to is extraordinarily important. Logistics is important stuff. And I know I've gone on. Hey, I even arranged to have a package delivered in the middle of this lecture. I didn't really, it just happened. But this is important stuff. So here we see, Hammondsport Savings Bank with 2 ATMs. And so they walk us through that same model. And so that's going to be due for you next week. Now, let me move this out of the way. And I want to say this: if I aggravate you, or you're kind of amused with my huge passion for this, wouldn't you rather have somebody who's passionate about this than somebody who's just, phoning it in? Speed matters. Timing matters. In all of these school shootings, one of the things that changed in terms of the tactics that the law enforcement people use is I think it was either Sandy Hook or Columbine, but they started saying this as why are we sitting here waiting? That shooter's just going to continue to kill people. So now it's aggressive. They go in, bam, they're there to take the person down or whatever. They don't wait around and figure out what's the best approach because other people, our lives are at stake. So that's one of those ways that timing is everything. So I'm pumped, and you ought to be happy that I am. Well, let's go back through and we'll do some minor housekeeping things. Oh my goodness, I have gone 17 minutes over the end of class. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'm sorry that I took that extra 27 minutes. So, Dr. Harmon, you're for someone who's into queuing theory and you're not too good at it yourself. Hey, I'm a college professor. I'm paid to spout off. So let's look at what we got going on. Of course, you've got Hammondsport 2 is due on the 18th, chapter 12. And I really encourage you, please look at these resources I have for you. Take a look at them because you're going to see what I provided to you is both the theory and the practice using queuing theory. Then, of course, on Module 12, which is the 23rd, 25th, 27th, the Hammond's Port 2. Let's see what you've got. You've got the tree plan guide. You've got the tree plan example. And you're going to have a case called PDC. And that'll be due. And then you have chapter exams. And then the SAP Business 1 Part A instructions as well as the instruction for Part B. Now, when I say flex time, all class sessions will be pre-recorded. I'm going to pre-record both the Monday and a Wednesday. So you don't have to attend them if you don't care to. And that way you can begin to work on these projects that you have ahead of you. And let's talk about them. On Module 13, again, I'll be doing some pre-recorded screencasts, and you'll have some assignments due. And then this week, on Module 14, SAP Business 1 is due, Part A and B, and the Anderson text self-developed quiz, you want to upload it. And then we're into finals, right? And I'll talk about finals at another time. You've had courses with me, you know. First of all, you need to know when is our final. The other thing you need to know is this. Typically, I'll give you a part of the final that's due at the start of the final exam period, and then I typically give you quizzes that are due at the end or assignment, okay? And so, pardon me about saying okay. So, I think Part B is a quiz. Maybe I fooled myself this time. And what? Now let's go back over here. Let's look for a moment in the syllabus and we'll find out what kind of critter this is what I've done to you. The syllabus, of course, lays everything out. You'll want to know what time our final exam is. And I'm not going to go through it. When you upload your work, upload a draft. Because once you hit submit, it's there. The final exam, Part B, and it looks, I'm going to ask you to upload something. So you have a project type of assignment for Part B. Let's go back over here for a moment. And let's go to the modules. And I believe there's a module where I explain to you what I want. We'll find it here very quickly. Find our there's your directions. Here they are, the exams and the instructions for each of them. And you also have instructions for the SDQ and Anderson text self-developed quiz, and then SAP Business 1 Part A and B. Okay, my friends, I started this at 11 o'clock. I've gone 62 minutes, 12 minutes more than I should. But I think we've had a nice session, and hey, we even had a bit of drama. What more would you want? So I will see all of you Monday, and hopefully my schedule will settle down. I've got a medical issue, and I'm trying to figure out where I stand, and so I'm having to kind of go I'm like the doctors are sending me like I'm a frisbee. I throw it, and you know the drill. Or you may or may not. Anyway, that's going to conclude the session. I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to end the meeting. And don't forget, this Friday, because of all the snafus and stuff I've got to deal with tomorrow in terms of doctor's appointments, I'm going to be out of pocket. I won't be there in Shawnee at all. But I will be in Shawnee on Friday. Okay? So I gotta stop saying okay. A rare sighting, you'll see me in the office on Friday. I'm making a joke. Listen, my Fridays are spent working with folks out here, usually churches, or editorial work that I do so I can stay current in the field, or even a course that I'm taking so I can stay current. Okay? So God bless you and have a great weekend.